Welcome to the BusinessWings podcast. I'm Sam Lewis and today I'm talking with Pam Bader, CEO of the Maid UK franchise. In the first part of this interview, Pam and I discuss the difference between men and women when it comes to business, and Pam offers her advice on how females can survive in more male-dominated industries. What I'd like from you initially is to tell us about your background, so where you started.
I was a failure when I started because I didn't pass my 11 plus. So to my parents, that was your failure. So you wouldn't be any good in anything in life. You'd say I was a failure at 11. So I left school with really no qualifications other than, no qualifications. I started training as a nursery nurse because that's quite a nice thing to do, and married very young and then had children, so then had to earn a living doing all kinds of different things that fitted in with children. And then as my children got older, I did start a boutique, up and buy a boutique. I was also involved in a building company, taking that to quite busy heights.
What motivated you back then?
I was given the opportunity with Maid and thought, I've got to make this as big as Kellogg's, and thought, oh, how the hell do you do that, you know? How am I going to do that? So it was the brand building, I think.
Are they the same motivations that drive you now?
Motivations then and what they are now to run a really successful company and grow it bigger and bigger and bigger.
Do you think the motivations for women becoming their own bosses and buying into franchise opportunities differ at all from men's motivations?
I think women, they come to us not knowing if they can do it. Men normally come thinking they can. I think that's the biggest difference. So women lack confidence and sometimes have low self-esteem. So that we really have to build with them. They also, once they start earning money, love the financial independence. Love it when they're earning more than their husbands. Which is a great, I'm earning more than him now. And that really motivates them. I don't know what it is, but it really, really does.
What attributes do you think are important for women to survive in more male-dominated industries and market sectors?
I think there is still the glass ceiling. I think young women today think that it's all even, and it's not at all. I mean, it took me 10 years to get to chair of the British Franchise Association because it was at the time very male-dominated. It's still quite male-dominated, and that was one of the things I sat and wrote down all those years ago, what I wanted to achieve, and that was one of them. And it took 10 years to get there. So I think young girls still think it's an open playing field, and I don't think it is. I think it's a lot harder. You've got to be much more skillful, politically astute, I suppose, for women to get on in business.
To what do you accredit your achievements?
Well, I suppose I was asked to get involved in government, which I did. That was a huge learning curve, just to understand what they're talking about. Every industry has a different language. Do you notice that? So you go there and you think, I don't know what they're talking about. So that was interesting because I was the only woman there with all these gentlemen who were very high-powered. And after the end of the first presentation, I said, I'm sorry, I didn't understand a word. And I'm not going to spend my time sat here hour after hour if I'm not knowing what you're talking about. And I went, oh, right. And then the man next door to me, who was very high-powered, and I won't tell you what company he worked for, said, I didn't understand a word of that either. So I thought, well, there you go, you see. You have to stick your head above the parapet.
Relating to that, I wanted to ask you about the advantages of being female in running a business.
I think women can juggle more balls in the air. You know, I think they can do numerous things at once because we have to. Women have to manage many, many roles. It's either being a wife or, okay, there's husbands, but then there's being a mum. And I always think, because I'm an older lady, that then you have your parents and your husband's parents, and you usually get heavily involved in looking after both sets of parents. So women have other issues, the caring side, that they have to fulfill even when they're running businesses. So they have to be more versatile, I suppose, and be able to keep many, many priorities going that I think they cope with really well, really well.
What advice do you have for females running a business?
Oh, well, females have to work a lot harder. You just do to get to those places. You really have to promote and lobby yourself and whatever to actually get there, to break through that barrier. You don't have to be horrible or a nasty person. I think you get on far better treating people how you want to be treated. I think that's very important and straight and honest in business. But I think women do kind of have different agendas, really, because we do have children. And if you're going to have a family, that's quite a big part of your life. So you have these divided feelings that you want to be successful in business, but then you might be 34, 35 and think, oh, maybe I should start a family. You see, men don't really have those situations. So I think in a way that makes women a little bit more vulnerable.